2. You didn't stay there long enough. Welcome back and good morning. It's time for the final episode of this first arc of 1 to 100. That's right. Today we are going to finish the Walls deck and complete this task. And then our next episode, we're actually going to have a mini episode where we're going to pick the new commander that we're going to build. I'm going to leave it as like a community posts kind of like thing. So, currently, we have 90 cards in our deck, if I remember correctly. I'm just going to do a quick double count. 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 4, 65, 66, 67. Oh, that's right. While we were off screen, I actually did a little bit of sorting. And that one really big pile that I had, I cut about half those cards. And then I split this up into a bunch of small piles. I forgot about that. It's been a very long week at work. So I have actually 5 mini piles, and what I wanted to do is I have 88 cards currently in the main deck, and I wanted to put in 2 from each pile potentially. I might actually go with 1 from one pile and 3 from another, depending, but that was the main goal, was to do 2 from each pile and finish this off. So we're going to start with this pile here. This pile has a bunch of just like random things that I thought might be interesting to throw into the deck to help it along. We've got the Psychic Impetus and the Opt. I was considering throwing in Opt. I think though that the Psychic Impetus might be the better choice, just because even though I don't like Goad, and I really don't like Goad, since I'm already including 1 Goad card in here for the treasure, this will let me scry 2 twice per turn, or turn cycle potentially. Whereas this is only going to let me do the scrying 1 time and draw 1 time, and that's going to be it. So I've decided I'm going to turn down that, and I think I'm probably going to include this, but for now we're going to leave it as a maybe. So I'm going to set it aside over here as a maybe. Just going to put the deck over here. Can you guys still see the deck if I put it over here? So hard to see the camera, but I think so. I can see my hand, so I should be able to. You should be able to see the box. Next up, what I actually did was I pulled out, the reason why we're down to 88 is because there were 2 enchantments that I added a while ago, and I've since pulled them out because I thought that maybe it might be interesting to just see whether they're the better option or whether it's better to include something else. So, the 2 that I pulled out were Confiscate and Kidnap. Both of these allow me to take a creature from one of my opponents. Well, this one lets me get a creature. This one lets me get any permanent. And I get to control the enchanted permanent. What I don't like about these, though, is they basically just end up being a target. Whereas if somebody can eliminate these from the field, then I no longer control those cards. So I'm tempted to actually dump both of those and include these 2 instead, which would put me back up to 90. But what I like about these is this will let me make a copy of anything that I steal from somebody else using another card that turn, and I can actually cast it twice. So potentially I can get a couple different copies of something, which I think is pretty good. And the other one that I really like is Shifting Grift, which basically lets me do what Confiscate does, except I have to give up something of my own in order to get something from somebody else. But I can choose an enchantment, I can choose an artifact, I can choose a creature, or I can choose all three if I pay enough mana into it. And if I pay enough mana into it, it basically costs the same thing as Confiscate, but I get 3 permanents instead of 1. As long as I have the things to exchange, of course. So I think that these two are the better choices to include, in my personal opinion, and that's why I'm going to put those in for sure. Which brings me back up to 90. And then the last cards over here that are potentials are, we had 2 extra counter spells that I kind of liked, Keep Safe and Mystic Confluence. I'm going to put both those as maybes for now, still over here. What I really like about Mystic Confluence is the idea that it lets me counter or return a creature or draw a card. And I could do all 3 potentially if I wanted, or I could do multiple of one or the other. So it's very versatile for 5, which I think is pretty solid. Keep Safe, on the other hand, what I kind of like about this one is just that it's cheap, but it lets you draw a card too. So you get to counter target spell that targets a permanent you control, which there's lots of things that are going to be targeting permanents you control probably, and draw a card out of it. It's not bad, but I think I'm going to actually turn that one down. I'm going to leave Mystic Confluence and Psychic Impetus over here, but I'm going to leave the put down the other one there. And then the last 2 cards that I'm considering as maybes, which I think both are really good cards to consider as maybes, are the Cumberstone, which is going to just reduce all my creatures' opponents' attack by 1. It's just very flavorful for a walls deck. It's got the wall in the background. It's made out of, it's a big ass rock. Like, it just feels very on point for the deck. It is kind of expensive though, which is why I'm leaning towards turning it down. You know what? In fact, I've just talked myself out of it. Even though it's very flavorful, I don't think it's worth the cost. Whereas this, I think, is worth the cost. This costs 4, but it also has a flashback for 3. And it lets me return an instant or a sorcery card from my graveyard to my hand. I do want to get back the cards that let me steal people's creatures as much as possible, so I think this is a good conclude. So it's going over here as the maybe. So potentially we have 3 cards so far for our pile, which means we may have to reduce one of these piles by 1 in order to include those 3, because I'm really wanting to include those 3 right now, personally. The other piles that I have going are, this pile here is actually what's left of the big pile that I originally had. And what it was is these all let me either destroy the creature that I've stolen, or they let me return it to its owner's hand after I've done stealing it. Or it might let me do something else, potentially to one of my opponent's creatures if I just feel that their creature is a big concern for me. So, going through the pile super quick. Anchor to Ether, 2 in a blue, put target creature on top of its owner's library and you get to scry 1. Not bad. I'm going to make a pile of all the cards that let me return creatures to their owner's hand first. And then we're going to address all the other ones afterwards. So I'm going to put that one to the back. Turn target creature to its owner's hand for 1 blue. It has flashback 4 in a blue, which is kind of expensive, but will allow me to do it twice. So that is kind of nice. Drag Under. Return target creature to its owner's hand. Draw a card instead of scrying. Do I want to draw the card or do I want to scry the card? I think I want to draw the card, to be honest. So I'm going to put that one as a no. And we'll leave this one as a maybe. This feels like a good board wipey card for anybody who decides they want to all-out attack me. If they decide that they're going to hit all my walls, then I can destroy all their tap creatures. I kind of like that. Leaves them vulnerable too. Maybe my opponents will split up the attack and try and take them out as well as me. I kind of like it. So I'm going to leave it as a maybe. Ariad's Lullaby, 1 in a white, destroy target tap creature, you gain 2 life. It's cheap, which is nice, but for 1 extra, I'm going to destroy the entire board. So I think that anything that's going to be like that, I'm going to just turn down at this point. I originally was thinking about including that for the life gain, but Exile target creature with mana value less than or equal to the number of planes you control. If I remember correctly, I think this deck has 8. So the likelihood that that's going to be able to be super effective is probably slimmer than I want it to be. Fling feels like a fun one to include. I'm very tempted to include Fling. As an initial cost, sacrifice a creature. This deals damage equal to the sacrificed creature's power to any target. I think it'd be kind of funny to steal a creature from somebody, swing at them with their own creature, and then sacrifice that creature and fling it at them as well. So I'm going to leave that in the maybe pile. Unsummon is a classic, just does the return to target creature to your hand. It's basically Silent Departure, except it doesn't have the flashback, so I think I'm going to turn it down. Return target cap creature to its owner's hand, scry 1. It's basically what we already turned down, but this one's a lot cheaper. And I think that beats out the Drag Under. So currently we have 4 maybes. This one I like because it's old. It's a very old card, and I think it's fun. Spin into Myth. Technically it was reprinted in 2007, but it was originally printed in 93, I guess. 4 and a blue, put target creature on top of its owner's library, and then you get to Fate Seal. This is the only card I think I own that lets you Fate Seal, which basically means instead of scrying for your own deck, you're scrying for your opponent's deck, which I think is kind of fun. But I think it's too much mana, and I don't think it's worth putting in this deck as a result of that, unfortunately. There are other decks that I'll definitely consider putting that card into, though. Runaway Together I kind of like, because I can return a creature that I've stolen and a creature that somebody else controls to their hands. So I'm going to include that as a yes. Well, at least as a maybe in the pile. So right now the maybe pile is up to 5. And like I said, we're going to have to go through the maybe pile at the end and cut it. But definitely I want to keep these 3 in if possible. So I'm kind of putting these 3 here specifically for that reason. Whereas the maybe pile I'm going to put back into here. Reality Shift, exile target creature, its own controller manifests the top card of their library. So basically I would get to manifest whatever I have on top of my deck, which is kind of nice at the same time as getting rid of the creature. But I think the other stuff is a little bit better that we have so far. So I'm going to say, yeah, we'll leave it as a maybe. Turn target creature to its owner's hand, draw a card. No, sorry, Repulse. Aetherize feels like a good one for this deck because it basically deals with everything that's attacking me and protects me. But and it is an instant speed versus sorcery speed. So I think it's going to be a choice between Aetherize and Split Up. I'm going to put both those over here because I think that one of those 2 should go in the deck. I just don't know which one. Peel from Reality, return target creature you control and target creature you don't control to their owner's hands. It's basically the same thing as Runaway Together. So do I want to include that? I might want to have 2 of those and not have Reality Shift, actually. I'm going to turn down Reality Shift. It might be better to have 2 copies of something like that in the deck. Suspend, I'm going to say no to, actually. Because I like the Reality Shift, or the Peel from Reality and Runaway Together better. Narrow Escape, return target permanent you control to its owner's hand and you gain 4 life. The expense is the issue there. These are all so much cheaper to do. But the 4 life is pretty solid. I'll leave that there. Destroy a trapped creature. No, we're going to turn that down. Last Breath, remove target creature with power 2 or less from the game. Its controller gains 4 life. I'm going to say, even though I like the old school art on that one, I'm going to turn it down for the Narrow Escape. I think the Narrow Escape is slightly better. And then finally, oh, nope, there's 2 more here, sorry. Narset's Rebuke, deals 5 damage to target creature, then you get to add 3 mana, and then if the creature would die, it gets exiled. I'm going to say no to that one. Even though there's not a lot of decks I'm going to be able to play this in, and that's why I was originally considering it as a maybe for this deck. I just don't feel like, even though you're getting 3 mana back, it still feels like chances are the thing you want to hit this with will either be protected or it'll have too much toughness that it's not going to be worthwhile. I'm going to turn that down. The last one I had was Curse of the Swine, and I kind of like this one because it's funny. If I had stolen multiple creatures in a turn, say because of my one enchantment that we have in the deck that lets me double the first instant or sorcery I play per turn. So let's say I have 2 creatures on the field that are not mine. I could pay 4 mana into this, exile both those creatures, and then for each creature exiled this way, its controller, which would be me, would get to make a boar. So I get 2 boar tokens out of it. I think that's kind of funny. I'm going to put it there as a maybe, but it's probably going to get turned down, to be honest. So right now we have 7 maybes in this pile. And we turned down a pretty solid chunk of that pile. So I'm pretty happy with that. Next, this is like removal stuff, essentially, for the most part. It isn't necessarily dealing with the creatures. It's more dealing with anything else. So exile target non-land permanent. I'm going to use this one more so for an artifact probably, but that's just too much. I'm not going to pay 5. And for the same reason, I'm not going to pay 5 into that one either. 2 and a white, as additional cost to cast this permanent, or cast this spell, sacrifice a permanent. Exile target artifact, creature, or enchantment. So, I mean, this one's kind of nice because I could steal something from somebody, sacrifice it, and then I could exile something else. I'm going to leave that as a maybe. Return target non-land permanent or suspended card to its owner's hand. I kind of like that one just because it affected the suspended thing that I had in here earlier. Now, not so much. I'm going to turn that one down. Banishing Knack. 1 blue. Till end of turn, target creature gains tap. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. It's kind of neat because I could tap one of my own walls and then return something to my opponent's hand that I've already stolen, or I could do it on their turn. It's still a pretty good card, I think. It's very versatile. I like it. Geist Wave, 1 and a blue, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. If you control that permanent, you get to draw a card. This I like because it lets me do what I'm trying to do with the creature thing. And I get extra card value out of it, and it's cheap. So I'm going to include that as a maybe. Cleave, I would have to pay 1 and a blue to get rid of the you control part, but I don't want to get rid of the you control part. It's basically an unsummon for any non-land permanent, which is kind of nice. So, but I kind of like the Banishing Knack a little bit better, I think. And the Geist Wave a little bit better. I'll keep it as a maybe for now. I'm not going to do the Gift of the Tapped Fish one anymore. I kind of like that one for the artwork, but I want to save that for my frog stack, I've decided, when I eventually build that. Disperse, 1 and a blue, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. I think we got a decent number of cards that are doing that already in the maybe pile. Return to Dust, 2 and 2 white, exile target artifact or enchantment. If you cast this spell during your main phase, you can exile up to 1 other artifact or enchantment. So if you do it on your turn, you get double the power benefit from it. Otherwise, it's a decent enough card, but it costs a lot. I think I'm going to turn it down. Disenchant, destroy target artifact or enchantment for 1 and a white. Pretty good. But we already have some stuff that's returning things, so it's going to cost them an extra set of mana to get it back onto the field. We'll keep it there. I'm going to save the Generous Gift for a rainy day. I like that one, and I want to use it in a different deck probably, I think, at some point. Destroy an artifact or enchantment. You gain 4 life. Do I like Invoke the Divine better or Disenchant better? The 1 extra mana gets me 4 life. I think I'm going to save the Disenchant for a rainy day. Add that one in, because the extra life might be helpful in this deck. But target non-land historic permanent. I'm going to put that one down. It's too specific. And Exercise the Imperfect. Exile target non-land permanent. Its controller incubates X, where X is its mana value. I kind of like this one before because I was going to get a Phyrexian out of it, which I thought was kind of neat. But in hindsight, is it better than, say, Angelic Purge or Invoke the Divine? We'll keep it in the maybe pile. Okay, so our maybe pile is currently at 1, 2, 3, 4... 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 cards, which is pretty decent. We've cut a lot. I'm pretty proud of us so far. This pile here is all stuff that I want to do to the creatures I control for the turn that I control them to give me extra oomph going into my final stage. I'm just going to crack this other Coke because we're going to be here for a bit longer than I was originally anticipating. But that's okay. I feel bad though because I wanted to do this at home with Kaiba, but my dad's there and I have no guarantee that he's going out today. And I really want to get this video posted because this weekend I'm going to post pretty much all Kaiba content except for Super Deck Sunday if I get a deck edited in time. Whirling Strike, 1 and a red. Target creature gets +2/+0 and gains first strike and trample until end of turn. I mean, maybe I'll feature the Walls deck as Super Deck Sunday deck. Even though we've seen it throughout this series, it could be kind of nice to do like an overview of the entire deck in a video. So I like this one because it gives first strike and trample, which you're going to notice a lot of the cards in here give you the option of one or the other. It's also fairly decent on the cheap side, so I'm going to include that one probably as a yes. This one I like because it gives you the Scry, +3/+0 and first strike. I'm going to keep that as the maybe pile too. This one gives me a treasure, plus first strike, so that's a good one for the maybe pile. That one I'm going to turn down because it costs the same as all these other ones and it doesn't give me the extra ability, so I'm going to save that for a different deck. Daring Escape, 1 red, target creature is +1/+0 and first strike until end of turn, and you get to scry ones. That beats out this one, I think. Even though you get +3/+0 versus +1/+0. Yeah, actually, you know what? I'm going to turn that one down. Quick Draw is an interesting choice because it gives me +1/+1 and first strike until end of turn, plus it eliminates all the first strike and double strike from my opponents. But I think I'm going to save that one for a deck that actually focuses more on the outlaws just because it's very thematic. Sure Strike, 1 in a red, target creature is +3/+0 and first strike until end of turn. Basically, it is this one, except it doesn't have the scrying, so I'm going to turn that one down. Kindled Fury, +1/+0 and gains first strike until end of turn, but it doesn't have scrying. You know what? We're going to actually go back and we're going to grab the one that let me scry before and add it back in instead of that one. Because it costs the exact same as that one, but it's going to give me a scry as well, so... Precise Strike, target creature is +1/+0 and first strike until end of turn. Same thing, I'll turn that down for the same reason. Swift Justice, target creature is +1/+0 and first strike and lifelink until end of turn. I want to include that one probably. Kaya's Onslaught, 2 and a white, target creature gets +1/+1 and double strike until end of turn, plus you can foretell it, which is kind of nice. I'm very tempted to actually do this, to be honest. The thing I don't like about foretell is you have to pay 2 to put it down and then pay the other thing to put it back up, to actually cast it. What I would have preferred is if you paid this and then paid 2 every time to cast later on, but I understand why they did it the way they did it. It's just not my favorite cup of tea. We'll keep it in the maybe pile, but I think it's going to get turned down. Actually, yes, it's about to get turned down right now because this one gives me double strike until end of turn. It doesn't give me the +1/+1, but it costs 1 cheaper, and I kind of like that. Plus, it has a cycling ability, so if I'm land fudged, I can discard this to try and get an extra draw. Teamer Battle Rage also gives double strike, and the creature gets trample if it has power 4 or greater, or if I have a creature with power 4 or greater. So I like this one because of its versatility. And then the Boros Charm that we saved from earlier is also a really good one. Destroys a player, hits a player for 4 or a planeswalker, which I like. Can give all my walls indestructible for a turn if need be. Or I can give a creature that I'm swinging with double strike. I like the versatility of this one. So there are 8 choices in this pile, giving us a total of 21 choices that we have to now cut down to, looks like 6, which is going to be tough. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to split it into 3 and 3. I'm going to pick 3 from this pile and 3 from this pile. I think that's the fairest way to go. And then I'm going to include these 3 because I really like those. Aetherizer Split Up is the tough choice right now. It costs 1 more, but it is 1 less colored pip, so that makes it a little easier to cast. This one puts them all back in their owner's hand instead of destroying them, so they're going to have to discard some of them probably, which I like. And you know what? I'm talking myself into it. I think Aetherize is a better one. I think it's more flavorful. I think it's, even though it costs 1 more, it's just on point for this deck. I think that's the really good card for this deck. So these 4 are definitely going in. And that means we have a pile of 6, or we have 6 cards that we must make out of... Oh crud, I forgot about this last pile at the back. Darn nabbit. I knew there was something I was missing. These ones don't involve first strike. That's why they were set aside. You know what? I'm not even going to include this pile. I'm going to take this entire pile and I'm just going to say, you know what? We're not going to look through it. The only one that I'm going to consider from this pile, the only 3 that I'm going to consider from this pile are the 3 at the back here. Everything else, we went through this pile a while ago, actually, I think. I think this pile might have been gone through the other day, because I'm pretty sure we cut some of these before. But I can't remember if I did it while I was off screen or while I was on screen. But I'm going to cut all of these, because I think the first strike is a better option than giving flying, for example. Because if they go to block, then they're definitely going to lose their creature. Whereas the flying, yes, I'm going to get the damage through, which is nice, but yeah, damn it. Okay, fine. I'm talking myself into going through this pile. Let's go through this pile super quick, and then we will see how far we boost the maybe pile to. These ones will go with the first strike, though, so that we know what we're cutting from there. +3/+1 gets trample if it's your turn, first strike if it's not your turn. For 1 and a red, that's pretty solid. +3/+1 and trample until end of turn, guaranteed. I'm going to turn that one down, though, because this one's a little bit better. Water Wings, base power toughness 4/4 and flying hexproof. I'm going to turn it down. Target creature you control gains hexproof until end of turn. Untap that creature. Until end of turn, it becomes a copy of another target creature you control. I like this card because it would let me copy something that I've stolen, say with a wall, but I'm going to turn it down. God's Willing, target creature you control gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn, scry 1. What I liked about this card is that I could pretty much guarantee if I'm swinging at somebody who's playing monocolor or say 2 colors, but most of their creatures have all the same color in it, then I can probably get this through as like unblockable. Until end of turn, target creature gets +2/+2 and indestructible. Okay, maybe. It's nice because it's versatile. I can use it on one of my walls to help protect me, or I can use it on the creature that I'm swinging with. I'm not wanting to put a flying counter on things, so I'm going to turn that down. I originally thought I would include that because I might put the flying counter on my wall, but I've since decided, you know what, most of my walls don't need to fly, I don't think. I have a few, we'll keep it there as a maybe, fudge it. Lifelink indestructible, no, we're going to turn that one down. Shelter, gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn, draw a card. Basically, it's God's Willing, except it's a scry instead of a draw, and it costs 1 more, so I'm going to turn it down. Lightfoot Technique gains flying and indestructible, but it also gets a +1/+1 counter, so I'm going to turn it down. Target creature gets indestructible, or you can destroy a creature with toughness 4 or greater. I'm going to turn it down. I don't think I need more removal. I've got a pretty decent amount of removal in that pile there to go over. +2/+2 until end of turn. If a gift was promised, it gets indestructible. Yeah, I don't really want to give people foods. Target creature gets +2/+2 and flying and becomes a horror enchantment creature. Don't like that. I do love Piety because it gives all my creatures +3 or +0 or +3. I like Rally Maneuver because it gives 2 creatures stuff, one first strike and the other one lifelink. And I still love my shield because it's cheap to get it in, and then it gives one of my walls vigilance and +3, +0, +3, giving it like a lot more toughness on the back. So I'm still going to keep that as a maybe too. All right. So we've still got a whole chunk of cards here, but we have to get through the really difficult part now. Taking a sip of Coke while I reflect. Also, there's like a fruit fly in my car that's kind of bugging me, so I'm going to get this window down and try and let it out. Go away, little guy. There we go. I'm very anti-kill things if I can avoid it. Alright, so this pile has 13 if I remember correctly. And we're going to pick 3 from it. And this pile has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15. And we're going to pick 3 from it. It's going to be very tough to decide which ones to go through. And it might take me a few more minutes. So this is why this video is going to probably have like a fast forward at this point. No, it won't. I can't do that to you guys. You gotta hear me talk through the strategies and stuff. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. All right, what are we going to keep? What are we going to cut? Let's go through this real carefully. I'm going to put these all into a pile as to what can be returned versus what gets destroyed. Return, exile, destroy. I'm going to count that as the same thing. Exile and destroy. Return, 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 destroy, exile. Okay. We got 5 over here. We're going to pick one of these 5, and we're going to pick 2 from here. So, starting with these. I'm going to say Alchemist is pretty cheap, which is what I really like about it. That one, let's put them in order of cost. Okay, these four are all the cheapest ones. So let's look at these four first. Alchemist. The cleave is the only downside to this, because if I do want to target something else that somebody has already on the field, I have to pay the one extra, but it's not like it's a crazy cost. I do like that. Banishing Knack, on the other hand, I have to be able to tap something. So, granted, it's a walls deck. I'm not planning to, have all my walls on or tapped all the time because they're there to be blocking. So, I think that one might be better. I'm going to pick that one over this one, I think, so far. Silent Departure versus this one. What I like about this is it has the flashback, so I can play it twice, but it only lets me hit a creature. Do I want to be able to hit more than creatures is the question. I'll leave it there as a maybe. Return tapped creature you control to a server's hand and scry one. I'm going to turn that one down. It's only useful if I swing with a creature at my opponent. Granted, I'm going to be doing that anyways, but I think that these two are better. So these two so far, let's see if anything over here beats those. Return target non-land permanent you control to a server's hand. If you controlled that permanent, you get to draw a card. I kind of like that one almost better than the Silent Departure. It lets me hit multiple things. If I control the creature, I get a card draw out of it. I'm going to turn down the Silent Departure, even though the flashback is pretty good. That one is the most expensive one, and I think it's too much for this deck. Considering that a lot of the turns that I'm going to be doing, my goal is to pay at least 5 mana probably in that turn, because I'm going to be stealing something and I'm going to be playing an extra spell or something. It's just not worth trying to include something that's going to cost that much. Both of these do the same, and I really like both of these. So it's kind of going to be a tough decision. I think I'm going to pick one of these two and one of these two. Peel from Reality I think I like better, flavor-wise. And I'm going to pick Banishing Knack, because Banishing Knack has a wall in the artwork. Well, it's a tower, but it still counts. So I'm going to include these two. And then I'm going to include, as funny as Curse of Swine is, I think I'm going to turn it down because it's the most expensive one. I'm going to turn down Excise the Imperfect because I don't really need the Phyrexian that badly. I do like the 4 life. I do like the fact that that one lets me hit 2 things in a turn, potentially. But I kind of think the Fling is the funniest one. So I think I'm going to do the Fling. Even though the life gain would probably be the best. And it does have a wall kind of in the background too. Do I want to be that dick? The Fling lets me do damage. This lets me... Oh, but it only hits an artifact or enchantment. Yeah, you know what? This only hits a creature, though. Whereas that one hits both. Okay, we're going to leave these over here. I can't decide yet. But these two are definitely in. Let's try and do this pile and see how far we can get through it, and then we'll come back to those 3 and figure out which one of those 3 I like best. I think I'm going to automatically include Boros Charm. It's just too good not to include. It's got the double strike on it. It's got the... Everything gets indestructible. It lets me hit a planeswalker. I like that too much. It's too good a card not to include. And it's the only one I have, and I think that it'd be nice to include it in this deck. Plus, I don't know. I don't know. It feels right, I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments if you agree with me. But I think that that's a good include. Oh, well, put it as a maybe for now. Okay. This pile is all the first strike ones. And this pile is all the non-first strike stuff. And that one was the in-between. Alright. Let's do this pile first. As much as I like +3/+1 and trample, and first strike on the other side of it. Yeah. This is going to be really tough cutting this pile down. I'm going to turn down the God's Willing. I have a couple ways already to get my permanents through. I'm going to say no to that. I'm going to say it's either going to be Adamant Will or it's going to be Boros Charm. It's going to be one of those two because I really like the idea of giving stuff in... Well, no. That gives all my permanents indestructible, though. This one only gives one creature. You know what? That's going down. Wing it. Do I want to give my creatures flying? Okay, this is where we start looking at stuff. So, going through the creatures pile real quick. My commander flies, but beyond that, the only ones that fly are Fogbank, fly or have reach, let's say. Rubble Fort, Fogbank, Wall of 1,000 Cuts, Angelic Wall, Wall of Denial. I mean, there's a few, but there's not a lot that could block something with flying. Towering Viewpoint. This one will let me give something flying until end of turn, but costs 3. It might be good to have that flying counter card. Just so that there's an extra wall that has a flying creature. Leave that in for now. All blocking creatures get +0/+3. It's a nice one. It costs a little too much, though, but I think... The trouble is, I'm going to turn down Rally Maneuver. As much as I like giving a creature first strike and another creature lifelink, I'm going to turn that one down. I'm leaning towards either Croter Shield or Piety. One of those two. I'm leaning towards one of these three. And then I'm going to have to pick one of these, probably. I might have to just dump all these, to be honest. I'm going to dump that one, I think. Because... yeah. I like that one. I really do. I think I'm going to keep Whirling Strike out of all these. As much as I'd like to get the treasure token, I'm already making enough treasure tokens as is, I think, with the enchantment if it stays on the field long enough. That one I'm going to turn down for... yeah. I like Swift Justice too, damn. I'm going to turn down the Raging Claws. I like these two. Ah, this is going to be tough. Okay, this is how it's going to go. It's going to have to be one of those ones, probably. One of those, one of those, one of these. Let's go that way. Okay. What's the best thing to do for this deck? If I give the right wall Vigilance... but I'm not swinging with any of my walls, really. So is this worth it? I'm going to say no. As much as I love this shield, as much as I feel it's very flavorful, and it's so on point. Oh, but it's a permanent that I like, whereas all these are not permanent. Okay, I'm turning down Piety. Piety, though, would protect all my walls for a turn. Oh, this is so hard. I might have to actually stop for a little bit and put a pause in this video so I can go through these and try and figure out which ones I want to do. Basically, we are down to one of these three, and then we got to pick 3 from this pile of 7. And I'm just not sure what ones I want. I'm going to put a pause in this for now. So the next time you see this, I won't be in the car. Hopefully I'll be in the house with Kaiba. But I might not be allowed to talk a lot. I might have to do the voiceover for the video afterwards, outside or something. But for now, we are going to take a break from being in the car at least. So thanks for watching up until now. There we go. Okay. We got 7. And we got 3. Now, I'm giving this a lot of thought. Fling feels like the funniest one. But I just don't think it's worth putting it in. To be perfectly honest. As good as it is, and it is the cheapest one, I'm tempted more so towards this one. Because this one, for the same cost as this one, I won't gain 4 life, but it'll allow me to get rid of either of the things plus a creature potentially. And all I have to do is give up one of the creatures I've already stolen, which is kind of good value for 3. This one, as funny as it is, and it's definitely funny, I just don't think it's going to be worth it. Unless we want to get rid of one of these. I like Banishing Knack because of the flavor. Is this better than Fling? Okay, I'm going to include these 2 for sure. Fling or Peel for Reality? Torn. Alright, definitely not that one. Let's see if we can figure out some of these. Maybe we'll cut more than one of the, or more than 4 of these, and then that'll work. I really do like that. I really do like that. Just not sure which one is better. What do you think? I'm going to say no to that one. And torn between those 2. I'm torn between those 2. This one, it only lasts 1 turn, but it gives me all my guys, whereas this one, although they do have to be blocking. And that one's more permanent, and it's movable. I'm going to leave that one. I'm going to include that one, I think, and I'm going to turn down this one. Okay, so there's one. Let's see. Boros is very versatile. You descry, you get a flying counter, and you get +2/+2. I kind of want to include all 4 of those, but I can't include all 4 of those. Can I? How many spaces do you got left? Seven. A space for 3 more. I forgot that I had put this in there, though. Now that I realize I have that in there, I am much happier to cut that one. Alright, down to 5 cards, gotta pick 3. I'm basically including Fling because it's funny. Peel from Reality is better than Fling. Because I can get 2 things for the same price. Whereas Fling's just going to let me deal that much more damage. But if somebody comes up with a way to reduce the power, or if they counter that and I don't have another counter spell, this one feels more like it's going to get through, potentially. So I'm going to say yes to that one. Alright, we got to pick 2 of these. And I think the best option is those ones, personally. As much as I like the trample, and I really do like the trample, the life gain could be better for me on my turn, defending potentially. No, I'm going that way. We're going to go with these 2. All right. And with that, our Pramicon Sky Rampart deck is completed. Seven, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89. So hard to do this. 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100. 1 to 100! Thanks for watching my first ever arc on this new series. As I said, in the next chapter, which will be a shorter video, we will present several options for the next commander, and I'll put it to a vote so that you guys can still pick the best ones. In the meantime, in between time, much love to you all from Kaiba the Pug and myself. To you, take care. Bye. And thanks for watching.